So this is the inspection regime for a full body safety harness. First thing that you have to do is check the inspection tag. Now the inspection tag has to be clear, has to be visible, and it has to have no writing over the top of it. You've got to make sure the harness is in date, the harness has a serial number, the harness has an EN number. So the next part of the harness which we inspect is always the back plate, which holds the back dorsal D-ring. To inspect this piece, we run our fingers around it, and what we're looking for is any cracks, splits, any cuts or any damage which is visible. Once you've inspected the front of the plate, then you turn the harness over and you have a look at the back of it. The important parts to have a look at are all the thinnest parts, which is where the likelihood of snapping is going to take place. So once you've done the inspection of the back plate, the next thing to do is the back dorsal D-ring. So easily moving it with your fingers and thumb just like that to make sure there's no stiffness in it. And then what we need to do with a bare hand, all harness inspections are done with a bare hand. You must rub your fingers and thumbs around it to make sure there is no sharp bits on that actual metal component itself. So the next process of the harness inspection is start with the chest straps. So you run your fingers and thumbs all the way down, all the way from top to bottom, back up to the top, and what we're looking for is any cuts, any rips, any tears, and any pulled stitches. Once you've done the right hand chest strap, we then move to the left hand chest strap, and you do the same process with fingers and thumbs all the way down to the bottom of the harness straps. Very important thing is never to jump from yellow to black webbing. You always inspect all the yellow webbing first, and then turn it around and you inspect all the yellow webbing on the back as well. It's the same process, top to bottom, using your fingers and thumbs, checking for any cuts, rips, any tears or any abrasions. So once the inspection of the yellow webbing is complete, we then move on to the black webbing, and it's the same process as all the way from top to bottom. You're using your fingers and thumbs, and you check all the stitching blocks to make sure they're all in good order. You swap from side to side, and as we work our way up and down the harness, you're looking for at each individual piece of webbing as you go. So once you've done the top straps, you then move to the bottom straps with your hands, and it's just fingers and thumbs all the way from top to bottom. A very important part of this is to remember you're never allowed to write on any of the webbing on the harness with permanent marker pens, because the ink, the chemicals in the inks damage the stitches and damage the webbing. So the next step of the process is all the metal components, including the buckles and the front dorsal D-ring. You check it with your fingers and thumbs, and what we're checking for again is any sharp edges, any cracks, any rustiness which is appearing on there as well, and you just take them individually one by one, and you work your way all the way across the harness to make sure that everything is in good working order. You raise the harness up and you do your leg straps, your leg buckles, and then you check the bottom buckles in the same process. So the next part of the process is the front D-ring or attachment. So this one is, as you can see, it's a 2-point safety harness. We have the one on the back and we have the one on the front. It's very important that you buy a harness with the front attachment on it, because this acts as a restraint point of contact and a rescue point of contact on the harness. Same process, make sure there's no sharp edges and make sure there's not too much rust appearing on it, and always check that it's moving nice and freely. So we move on to the fall indicator on the back of the harness. Now if somebody has fallen into this harness and loaded it, the body weight would actually pull this part of the harness apart, and this webbing there which is stitched together would open out, and then what you would see here is a warning sign saying do not use this harness. So the last part of the process is make sure that your buckles are connected properly, make sure they're not bent or twisted. So you put one inside the other one, the male goes inside the female, and you just give it a quick pull to make sure they're locking properly.